know you can win. So, if you're not 100% sure you're capable of pulling off a citizen's arrest, don't do it. You're not going to be helping anyone if you're also going to the hospital or being arrested.
Yeah. Another good thing to remember is if you see something happening right in front of you on public property, you are legally allowed to record under the one-party consent law, which basically means as long as you're not going out of your way to record someone else, like going on their private property and so on and so forth, and you, as the cameraman, give consent to record, it is legal as evidence, basically. If you do, I highly advise just doing some more research on your own, just to make sure of the specifics.
Right.
But that's the general rule of thumb. And that's for Ontario. It could vary from province to province, although I think it's Canada-wide. In the United States, though, it does vary a lot. Some are two-party consent states. That includes both video and audio recordings.
Yeah, you don't want to be caught like trespassing in order to commit a citizen's arrest, especially at night, because sometimes in order to make sure a criminal is properly processed, the police will try to plaster you with as many charges as they can to ensure that at least one of them sticks. So if your intentions are good, but you're trespassing and you're trying to do a citizen's arrest and you're laying your hands on someone else and you're maybe dressed like us or have a mask or something like that, you may potentially find yourself with a lot of charges on you. You might have assault charge, you might have a trespassing at night, prowling at night, committing a crime while wearing a mask, committing a crime while wearing body armor, or if you have anything on you that's hard or blunt, they will probably charge you with break and enter tools, even though they might not necessarily be break and enter tools. But like I said, if the police are trying to make an arrest, they will want to make sure that at least one of the charges sticks, so everything and anything pretty much applies.
Yeah, so basically you just have to remember that it's not their job to take sides, it's their job to arrest people for breaking the law.
Right.
Breaking the law because the other guy broke the law harder, so to speak, is unfortunately not a valid excuse. So if you...
Two wrongs don't make it right.
Yeah, if you like break down someone's door to, you know, grab a bad guy, and you do not have the landowner's consent to be there, unfortunately you will also be arrested for trespassing. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but it is, like, I just want to make sure that you know what is expected of you if you do find yourself in these situations under the eyes of the law.
Yeah, just trying to make you aware of the ramifications of your actions and to let you know what could potentially happen, so that you are fully aware of these things before you insert yourself into a situation that maybe you don't necessarily need to be inserting yourself into. Maybe you could have just stood back and called the police.
Like I said, it's their job to catch people breaking the law, even if you're on the moral high ground. You know, it sucks, and trust me when I say they're not exactly happy about it either. But this is what they're paid to do, and they have to put up with, in my opinion, a lot more flack than they should be getting for doing their jobs. A lot of people, they disconnect themselves from the fact that police officers are real people. They have lives as well. I mean, yes, there's the unfortunate bad apple who power trips and does things that he should not be doing as an officer of the law. But people expand that hate, so to speak, towards the entire police population. Especially, well, I wouldn't say especially, but even here in Oshawa, I know people who just have a a low expectation of officers in Oshawa and the surrounding region. And I don't quite get that. If you are polite and courteous with them, that goes so much smoother with them. In my dealings with them, both in and out of RLSH work, I have never had an issue with any officer I've talked to. Even ones that have been apprehensive towards us doing what we do, as soon as we took the time to say, yes sir, no sir, here's what we're doing sir, even they lightened up a bit. Respect is something I feel is not reciprocated enough nowadays.
Right.
In my professional life, outside of RLSH work, that's basically the #1 important skill where I work, is respect and teamwork.
Well, I guess the problem with society these days, it's too much of an us versus them attitude, whether it's, you know, citizens versus the police, whether it's, you know, the young versus the old, whether it's motorists versus pedestrians. You know, there's a very apathetic and selfish attitude that society has nowadays. Maybe not necessarily on purpose, but like it's slowly but surely ingrained on them. So basically mind your own and just think about yourself, because no one else, you know, is going to think about you. It's unfortunate that it's that way, because if we all, it's going to sound cliche and cheesy, but if we all work together and viewed each other as family or other people who are trying to make the world better, and if we all just had the attitude that we assume everyone's got our backs, that assume everyone's doing something positive for their community, you know, just have a more positive outlook on life and have a little more compassion for your fellow man. I think things, even on that alone, would make the world a better place.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, all of us are just on this tiny little speck of dust flying around space.
When you look at different places around the world and high crime rates in one place versus high crime rates in lower places, what would you personally attribute that to if you were to form an opinion about it, like cultural, economics, etc.?
Probably poverty and high stress.
Right.
Because stress and being impoverished, how do you ever say that?
Poverty?
Being in poverty, I guess is the best word for it, creates just a lot of anguish, a lot of anger, a lot of resentment for people that have it better than you. You know, some people will resort to crime to get what they need if they don't have it.
Yeah, as far as my opinion, I think it comes down to community. Not just like, I'm not talking about like national or provincial community. I'm just talking about like your community amongst a group of friends. As long as there's one person who acts selfishly and pressures his or her friends to get into the lifestyle of drugs and, you know, theft and whatnot, it kind of pressures them into trying it. And then, just like a drug, there's basically a high that comes from it. Whether it's as literal as, you know, trying meth and getting high, or as metaphorical as
Getting away with theft or
Yeah.
robbing someone and not being caught for it.
and thinking that you're a badass, basically.
Right.
Tough life, kind of reinforcement stuff. That kind of doesn't help either. There's a very kind of pro-thug life attitude that a lot of urban cities have. It's like, it's a good thing to be a gangsta.
Yeah, it's the cool thing.
Right.
And basically it comes down to people wanting to get as many people to like them as possible. Like, some people who get into a bad lifestyle aren't even really in it because that's what they want to do. They do it because it attracts the attention and impresses other people.
Peer pressure.
Yeah, in their community. Same reason people start smoking, do drugs, steal. Like, you have to have the balls to stand up and be your own person. And I feel like that is the #1 asset for avoiding such a negative lifestyle. Like, I was pressured to, you know, smoke weed, do drugs, that sort of thing when I was in high school, and to an extent even in college a bit. But I just remained adamant that I didn't want to do that sort of thing. And sure, it turned some negative attention towards me, but ultimately I turned out to be, in my biased opinion, very respectable individual. I've got a loving girlfriend, got a good job, I have the respect of my coworkers, and I do my part to try and make not just my city, but just the world in general a better place.
Yeah, because sometimes what, you know, the world says is right and is okay to do isn't always, you know, the right thing. Sometimes, you know, you gotta plant your foot and do what you feel is right and tell the world, no, you move. That was a very badly quoted Captain America line, but you get the point.
I can see some sort of eyes over there. Probably a beaver or something.
The hills have eyes.
Now you can catch the reflection off their eyes, right?
Some beavers or raccoons or something.
Yeah, they're actually, I have confirmed that there are beavers in the area because I've seen trees with gnaw marks. If we find one, I'll get Mr. Cameraman here to get a close-up. Nothing to do at all with real-life superhero work, but just to show you the kind of nature that's in your own backyard that you might otherwise ignore.
Yeah, I mean, we have a general respect for all life, so it kind of goes hand in hand with that. We're kind of glad to see that even though man has built upon the land and urbanized it and put, you know, buildings up and concrete pathways and stuff like that, that nature is still thriving. It's still finding a way to, you know, co-inhabit and have some wildlife still here. Do what nature does, unlike man, who doesn't really blend in. They kind of just build over stuff.
Yeah, humans basically lost the ability to live in nature as
Adapt.
they are. Yeah. And we have evolved, not necessarily for the better, to require the use of, you know, heating, cooling, so on and so forth, cook our meat.
Yeah, I actually want to make a point. We're consider the Earth like the human body. Now, with all the humans and all the people on this world kind of acting against each other for the most part, being selfish, kind of taking stuff for themselves and not really caring for the general populace or general humanity, with all the apathy and stuff like that. Now, imagine if your body acted like that. Imagine if your blood cells and your white blood cells and your antibodies and your brain waves and your lungs and all that had a beef with each other. Imagine if they didn't cooperate with each other.
Yeah, like, to expand on what he was saying there. Individually, they all perform a very specific function, and, you know, like your heart beating, for example. Now, obviously, you know the heart's an important organ, but ignoring that for a moment, like, ooh, wow, it expands and contracts. Big whoop. It's a fantastic piece of, you know, bioengineering. But you combine that with a bunch of other stuff that does, you know, specialized things, and all of a sudden, they have a complex being capable of critical thought and socializing in highly complex ways. I mean, this landed people on, another celestial body. So to kind of get to my point there, when several things, in this case people, that are good at one specific thing come together, the whole is basically more than the sum of the individual parts. So when society comes together, a lot more can get done as a group than you can on your own. So right now, the world's basically split into individual countries, and look what we've managed to accomplish so far on that note. Now imagine if the entire planet all came together. What sort of crazy shit we'd get up to.
Yeah, like if people actually stopped caring what people's skin color was, or what their neighbor's religion was, or whose bathrooms somebody's deciding to use, or what orientation. So like if everyone just stopped caring about all these basically really unimportant things and just lived their life without trying to tear other people down and actually be a positive force on the world and society, we could be in a technological futuristic utopia, really.
Yeah, like to kind of get personal here, I am not exactly the brightest book on the shelf, so to speak. I've said and done some pretty stupid things in my life, but I put my head down. I went to college for 4 years. I studied my ass off, and I made myself into something that I can honestly say I am proud of. And don't be a victim of your circumstances. Like Aftershock had said before, he came from a, kind of an abusive house. I myself came from something similar, and you have the power, as cliche as it sounds, to do with your life what you want. And it's not going to be easy. That's what stops most people, because it requires work and effort. Yeah, welcome to real life. Accept the risks, accept the responsibility, accept that it's going to take a lot of work to get where you want to be, and you can, do something with your life that you want. And if you're happy doing what you want to do with your life, it will be that much easier to do. Like my industry that I'm in, I love. And when I show up in the morning, I never regret having to go into work. I love my coworkers, and it's honestly, to me, in my own personal view, the best job in the world. And that will vary from person to person, obviously, with vastly different expectations of what they want out of their life. But if everybody can maximize their potential, you become that specialized component in the whole, and can basically help make the world a better place.
Yeah, it's never over till it's over. Don't ever let people say that you can't accomplish your dreams, or that what you want to do in life is stupid, because it's not them that's going to determine your happiness. It's you. So, on one hand we're saying don't be selfish and don't just think of yourself, but at the same time, you can't heavily rely on others to drag you through life and get you to your goals and stuff like that. So you kind of have to have goals in general. Like you should have some sort of life goal, or goals plural, and somehow maybe not every day, but even every other day, do one small thing to get yourself towards that goal.
If I could kind of summarize what we're trying to get across as a simple quote, it's hold yourself with one hand, offer the other.
Right.
Right? Because more goodwill there is to go around, you know, the better the world is for it. Like I try not to rely on other people. I don't ask for rides. I don't, you know, borrow money if I'm not absolutely in need. I try and make things work with what I have. Not because I feel, you know, like that sort of thing shouldn't be happening, but because I know that there's other people who could use it a heck of a lot more than I could. Like I was saying, I've made some pretty stupid decisions in my life and found myself worse off for it. But I accepted that that was my own fault and got myself back up to where I needed to be with minimal help from others because I knew I could do it. And, you know, why give the goodwill to a guy who can, you know, make it out on his own? And it could go to somebody else more in need of it.
I was on Facebook and I saw a picture, a cover photo. I saw someone had commented on the photo. I can't remember exactly what they said, but just to paraphrase what this person wrote, they said they used to sell drugs out here in Oshawa and they kind of reformed their ways, and then they went on to say, "Great job, guys, keep up the good work." The way it came off was like they were almost inspired to reform their ways in a sense due to you guys.
I wouldn't dream of saying that was because of us.
Right.
Maybe we had a helping hand in that, but you know, it's within these people's own thought processes that they're capable of making these decisions.
Right.
As our name for our Canadian-wide team implies, we just try to be the catalyst for coming to terms with that decision.
Right.
Right? Like we're
the element that brings change.
yeah. Like we're not the change. We're the element that makes you realize that it's been there the whole time.
Right.
But I'm glad that that person, you know, decided to turn their life around and do something good with it. And if you're out there watching, this person who I'm talking about, good on you. You have my respect. So, as you can see, it's been relatively dead tonight. Just a lot of me rambling about morals and philosophy, life decisions. I don't mean to come off as preachy or acting like I'm, you know, I know better or anything like that. I'm just another footprint in the mud like everyone else. I'm one of the people who have come to grips with who I am and where I stand in the world.
That's better than another silent citizen.
Really chilly at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I could never look at myself as just kind of a lowly witness watching as life passes me by without doing something. I mean, everyone's here for a reason, and you just sometimes have to find your own reason for being here. I know a lot of people are like, well, what's the meaning of life? And
yeah, it's a very philosophical question.
well, I think it can be answered pretty easily if you think about it. The meaning of life is to progress and evolve and become the best, you know, that life form that you can be. It's basically what you got to do is find your own meaning in life. If you're looking to other people to tell you what's your purpose, you're never going to be really satisfied, and you're probably going to be jaded a lot and maybe that jadedness might turn to depression, and it's good to find self-worth and to feel like you're making some sort of difference in the world. Now, it doesn't have to be what we're doing. You know, you could be someone who's working your way to the top of a business, and maybe you're helping that business to be more economical, or, you know,
more free, safer for the
yeah,
environment.
like work more efficiently, and in turn maybe gain yourself a little more financial stability in your life, so that you can take that financial stability and, you know, distribute the wealth and help your fellow man out. Like, giving a few bucks to the right charity here and there is, you know, something that could make you feel a little better about what you do in life. Because think of it like Christmas. Sure, it's nice to receive a lot of gifts and get a bunch of cool new stuff. But I think the better feeling is to be able to give something and provide happiness to other people, and to know that you were the source of that happiness. So it's sort of like that. If you can do something with your life and make yourself better, and allow yourself some either free money or free time to donate or volunteer somewhere to make other, you know, lives happier or better or less, you know, impoverished, you will in turn feel better about yourself as a person. And we all want to feel like that self-worth. We all want to feel like, you know, we matter, like we're on this planet for a reason other than to just, you know, eat, sleep, breathe, and die. Like,
to further expand on that, another common misconception is that there's a basically separation between being successful and being a humanitarian and helping out other people. To smash that, I point you to probably my favorite owner of a company in the world, Elon Musk. He is a highly successful businessman, makes a lot of money, and he is the pioneer of renewable energy. With he has a company dedicated to solar panels and renewable energy. Tesla, which is pioneering electric cars and is basically single-handedly making them commonplace. SpaceX, he is the current leader for, you know, space technology, and opening up many commercial opportunities in the future for being able to mine asteroids and other planets for resources, which in the future, far, far off in the future, will ultimately make resources more commonplace and easier to get a hold of. And he still manages to make, you know, a lot of money. And every single one of his companies, each offers the world something that it's better off for. You know, electric cars and solar panels, be less pollution in the world. You know, it also stops the use of fossil fuels, so that those go down in price for those who still need to use them, and also extends the supply of them, and also, you know, affords us the opportunity to explore space, because, well, space is cool.